The fight against violence is a fight for all of us, not a few.
Yeah, it don't make no sense.
When shot, they won't take with my girl shot from
You left me up, so you left me up, sir. You left me up, sir. You left me for the tree.
We heard about this terribly tragic incident which took place here in Havana Heights in Clarendon with 4 young persons, 2 sisters and another relative, and the baby father of one of the sisters, all being murdered last night, just after midnight. And so we decided to come, and because I touched base with the Member of Parliament, Lawton Cousins, and he encouraged me to come down and just show the family some solidarity and some support at this time of terrible grief and shock. The community as a whole has been going through a series of incidents, but this now has taken it to a whole different level. And, you know, coming to the house, seeing all the children, meeting the mother of the 2 sisters who died, seeing the small room in which they were all put on a bed and then executed, it really is shocking to the conscience.
The Jamaica Constabulary Force at this time, we're offering condolences to the bereaved family, and we want to let them know that we are going to be here and to reassure them that we will get to the bottom of this incident, because this incident really ought not to happen, because people are living with each other, and I do not think that dispute, whatever it is, should be settled in a way that it is so heinous. We are one family. In spite of we are law enforcement, we are here to provide security and safety for them. And when we wake up this morning and to hear about this incident is very tragic.
My son, a working hard young man.
What's the name of your son?
Michael Solomon.
When live?
Havana Heights, phase 3. He's a working hard young man. Every day work. When he no go out, he help me with my farm. Come and run chicken farm. Michael, you're innocent. God, no, dead left your one son. Only one picking. Plus your baby mother gone, left your baby. Eh? Tell me now.
Who is his baby mother? What's her name?
Sherona Whyte, one of his siblings, one of them that died. One of the girl that died, Sherona Whyte.
You know, the country is going through the worst of times. Between the COVID situation, which is out of control, doesn't appear to be responding to the measures that have been put in place to try and contain it. The crime situation, murders like this happening, murders up 10% year on year, and then the stresses of the cost of living situation where so many prices have been going up and people really suffering. It is really a very dismal situation. And as leaders in the country, it is important that we get on the ground and show the people that we are here with them and that we care about their plight, and just to show that we don't see ourselves as just above them, but we are with them. So, you know, we are calling on the Minister of National Security and the Commissioner of Police, the Chief of Defence Staff of the JDF, to ensure that there is adequate security in this community, because this situation is one of a series that have taken place, but represents a serious escalation and a change to the nature of the violence that has been taking place in here. And it needs to be contained now so that the community can be freed of further trauma and further grief.
I'm truly at a loss for words in respect of the tragedy that has taken place here. As the party leader and the leader of opposition would have indicated earlier, we are calling on the Ministry of National Security to increase the police presence in the space so that we don't have a repeat of what transpired. It is quite unfortunate that incidents of this nature are happening when we're supposed to have increased police presence in the spaces due to the fact that there's a curfew and the all-island lockdown would have started. We have to work together as a community, as a country, to ensure that we can sleep with our windows and doors open in the realest sense, and that it is not a fleeting illusion to be pursued but never attained.
As a former Minister of National Security, I've been to
many murder scenes, but it is few that have struck me as tragic as the scene we have here today. A quadruple murder is not an everyday thing. And the fact that the 4 victims, as far as we can tell, were not involved in any criminal activity. They were innocent young people. And the trauma to the children who observed the murders. In one case, a young boy seeing both parents murdered must be indescribable pain.
All right, now I don't know if I can make it. Better me out a garbage pan or really down on the roadside. Me tell you the truth, it don't make no sense. I don't have no hopes or nothing. Me not go work out. Yesterday, last time he called me, I said, Mommy, the chicken them not have no feed. Now, Mr. Michael, me soon come, but me sign us up and me give me a little time. Me call him back in night, 1 o'clock, and I say something to him. And me say, you good? And he say, yes. And me say, all right, later, boy.
So this is doing live normally or in this past or something?
He stay with him, baby mother. And baby mother I must stay with.
It took a long time for the police to respond, notwithstanding that 4 Parts and Maypen are within a couple minutes drive away, both police stations. We were able to come to from Kingston in about half an hour, and yet it took about that time, as far as I can tell from the community, for the police to respond. This is not good enough. We need more creativity, more initiative from the ministry and the Minister of National Security and from the security forces.
Presence in this area is always heightened because even last week, Thursday, we had an operation, and we have several operations in Havana Heights because it is one of our spots that we keep monitoring. It's problematic. Even last night before the incident occurred, police officers were in here 15 minutes before. So it's not a community that is left up on its own, but we consistently give law enforcement service to the community. What we are going to be doing though is continue on that path, and we want to just use a collaborative effort with the members of the communities and stakeholders from other places to see how we can improve the service, and more mixed with law enforcement as also that community service to treat with the youths and those persons who are unemployed and so forth. So it's a multi-agency approach we want to use to treat with that, what is happening. But I can tell you, from a law enforcement perspective, we are always in this space.
You have to balance crime control with crime prevention. Crime prevention requires investment in these communities, social investment. This administration has abandoned our initiatives around social investment, around partnership, around training, violence interrupters through the PMI, which will be placed in communities like this to break the cycle of reprisal and counter-reprisal. These are all things that don't necessarily cost a lot of money, but with the money spent in a targeted way and effectively, it could improve the quality of life and the safety and security of the people tremendously.
1 year after this government is in power, give them a
No,
grade.
1 year, 5 years. No. 1 year of the new administration.
1 year of the new administration. Grade them in terms of crime and violence. How would you grade them?
Absolute failure. Absolute failure. We have had, from every perspective, certainly in terms of serious and violent crime, the most serious and violent crime, murders and shooting, those are up, despite the fact that we have had the entire country under curfew and lockdown for most of that year. And what is even more disturbing in the long run is that the clear-up rate for murders is going in the wrong direction. Fewer and fewer perpetrators are even being identified so that they can be charged and taken off the streets. So we have seen a fall off in terms of the intelligence gathering capabilities, in terms of the investigative capabilities, and the results are what we're seeing here today. The crime situation is progressively getting worse and worse. And as the opposition leader said, we're dealing with the triple C's of crime, COVID, and the cost of living. Community policing is very important. And without the community policing cannot work. So we want the security forces to understand that, notwithstanding the fact that I am an opposition MP, the fight against violence is a fight for all of us, not a few. It is a fight for the PNP, it is a fight for the JLP, and we are united. And it's interesting, we have the opposition spokesperson and security here. During his tenure, crime was going down significantly. He placed great emphasis on community policing. And that is where we went wrong. Because we are not placing the emphasis where it should be placed. Our priorities are misplaced. Building fancy police stations all across Jamaica is not going to lead to a downward trend in crime. Police stations in and of themselves is not the answer, it is not a panacea. What was happening between 2011 and 2016 that led to that serious decline needs to be revisited. And they need to consult with us because obviously they don't have the answer, but we do.